Hey, what up, guys? It's Yaya. Thanks for joining me again tonight. Sorry about the hair. I don't know what this weather's doing right now, but it is like legitimately not working with my hair right now. It's kind of nonsense, actually, if you think about it. So if my hair looks crazy, sorry, can't help it. I'm actually here today to do the Q&A, and I want to thank everybody who took out some time to send me some questions that they wanted to hear me give some answers to. The first one was a little interesting. It was who's like my dude crush right now. It actually came from one of my followers on a different blog, which was kind of cool. Main man crush right now would probably have to be Stephen Amell. He's an arrow, and first of all, he's super hot, which is kind of what a man crush is supposed to be. He's also like really super into his family, which is really cool. He's constantly posting pictures of his wife and his daughter, and he's really into philanthropy. He's done a couple of campaigns for different fundraising events. He actually did one for suicide awareness, which was cool. He did one for bullying. He's really into like pushing causes, which is something that I really admire about him. And on top of that, if you follow him on Instagram or on Facebook or anything like that, he just seems like a really genuine person. He runs his own social media sites. He goes on there, he does Q&As, and he does Fan Art Friday, and he does Meme Mondays, and he's got all this like cool stuff that he does, and he like really encourages fans to interact with him and everything, which I think is really cool. If you haven't checked out the show Arrow yet, first couple seasons are on Netflix, and they're on a new season now. It's supposed to come back sometime soon, hopefully. And it's just a really awesome show, so you should definitely check it out. It's really cool. So my man crush for the moment, and probably for like ever and ever and ever, Stephen Amell. Check him out. He's super awesome. I think, let me see what the next question was. I'm gonna try and pick one here. Place that I haven't been to that I want to go. I'm gonna have to go with Italy. I've been obsessed with going to Italy for a long time. I love everything about it, the food, the culture, the scenery is gorgeous. I'd love to go to Florence. I'd love to go to Rome. I'd definitely love to go to Venice. There's just a bunch of places that I've always wanted to go there. And on top of that, apart from my, late husband, Tony, being Italian, it was also where we were supposed to go for our 10th anniversary. So I do hope at some point in time to actually hit that goal of ours and make it to Italy and visit and really get to enjoy it. And, at least I'll be taking Kane with me, which is awesome. If I can't have my husband with me, then at least I'll have a little piece with him and my son, and we'll be able to go and have an awesome time and eat a crap ton of gelato because, you're in Italy, so you gotta eat gelato. That's just kind of what you do. And then the last one, probably one of the most interesting questions that I got from a good friend, Lamika Owens. We actually went to high school together. Some of you guys might know her as Ms. Mika. She's actually an incredibly gifted singer, rapper, artist, and on top of that, she's just a cool person. She's just really inspiring. She's definitely very centered, and she knows who she is and what she's about. And she's doing a lot of really cool stuff. So check her out on Facebook, Soul Rebel Nation. You definitely want to take a look at that. She's doing a lot of great things. But anyway, Lamika, thanks for the question. And what she asked me was, what is my most effective way of dealing with pain? Anybody who is familiar with me, and for those of you that aren't, I lost Tony to suicide in August of 2014. And so I've been dealing with, the repercussions of his suicide as on top of grieving the loss of a loved one. And of course, the pain that's involved in that. So, Lamika, to answer your question, I guess my most effective way of dealing with pain is letting myself feel it. And I'll explain. I had one of the therapists at the hospital when Tony was in ICU had a saying, which was give yourself permission to feel everything. Anybody who's familiar with the stages of grief and what you go through, you go through denial, you go through shock, you go through anger, you go through guilt, you go through all of these feelings until eventually you get towards some form of acceptance of what's going on and then being able to move forward. I wrote a post last week. If you haven't checked it out, you definitely should, where it talks about the circle of grief and how it's a complete lie. And I personally do believe that. I do believe there is no circle of grief. It's just an up and down roller coaster that you go through. And you can experience all of the stages, some of the stages. They can come in order. They can come backwards, forwards. You can feel them more than once. I mean, grief is a crazy, crazy thing, and it's accompanied by a lot of pain. I talked to a lot of the people that I've talked to about suicide, and having lost Tony to suicide, I've mentioned that it's kind of a double-edged sword, because if somebody dies from cancer or a freak accident or some other natural cause that we just didn't know about, at least you have something to blame. But with a suicide, the same person who you're mourning is the same person who is to blame for your pain. And that's probably one of the things that's been the hardest for me to deal with, is that I'm blaming Tony at the same time that I'm mourning him. So the best and most effective way that I've been able to deal with that pain is actually letting myself feel it. Some days I feel it less, and it's just like a nagging pain or a hole that I can't seem to fill, or just an overwhelming sadness. Some days it's literally paralyzing. Like, all I want to do is sleep and stay in bed all day. I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk to anybody. I can barely eat, barely sleep, barely get myself out of bed and do anything. And as horrible as it sounds to think of someone in that position, at the same time, if I kept bottling it up inside of me and pushing forward and pushing on and not allowing myself to feel the pain, I don't think I'd ever be able to actually deal with it. Because essentially all I'm doing is suppressing it and suppressing it and suppressing it. Anybody knows if you suppress something for too long, it's gonna blow. And that's partially the reason why I lost him in the first place, is he suppressed the pain that he had and carried the burdens that he had on his own until they just got too much for him to bear. And he wanted it gone. And I don't want to end up in that position. I can't possibly imagine how that felt to be that way, and to feel that kind of pain and to feel that kind of despair. That's really the only way that he felt that he could get out of that, was to end his life. And for me, I choose to live. Therefore, I choose to feel all of that pain in every single facet that it comes to me, because the only way out is through, as I said in my last post. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how I manage with the pain. It's not easy. Some days are easier than others. Some days I feel incredibly guilty for feeling happy and, being able to make it through the day without really thinking about his suicide and how that's affected my life. And some days it's the only thing I can think about. But at the end of the day, you just have to feel it, and you have to let yourself feel it, and you have to let yourself feel that pain. Grief is having loved someone, and if you were lucky enough to have loved in that way and to have had a special person in your life that would cause you to feel that pain, then you should consider yourself lucky. And, well, that's just how that's just me and how I feel about it. Some people are different and they've experienced it in different ways, but that's just my way of handling it. So for anyone who happens to be in that position and they're in pain, trust me, feel it. Feel it, feel all of it. Let yourself get into it and feel it and really, really, really just push through it, because at the end of the tunnel is a light, and you know, you can get through it and you will get through it. And if I'm here, you can definitely be here. So, you know, push through it, fight through it. The only way out is through, like I said again. So those are my 3 questions for tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed the answers, and I'm sorry if I say like 85,000 times. Anybody who talks to me knows that I do that. So yeah, just sorry. And you know, definitely check out my blog on yaitza.me. That's yaitza.me. And of course, it'll be on my Facebook page once I put the post up there and everything. You know, share it with anybody who you think would enjoy listening to me and talking to me and just, you know, getting to know what I'm all about. And I hope to see you guys next Friday with a couple more questions. You can feel free to shoot those to me on WordPress, on my YouTube channel where this is going to be posted, or on Facebook, you know. And aside from anything ridiculously explicit or just downright rude, you can pretty much send me anything, and if I think it's something I can answer, then you might just hear it on my next post. Thanks again. You guys have a good night. Bye!